And we're back, episode 5 of the Mediocrity Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike Forrest. We had a little bit of a longer layoff to my dozens of fans out there. Sorry for the delay. I know you're probably wondering where the next podcast was. We got out of the heat here in July and went to San Diego, where a couple of interviews that I had lined up fell through. So anyway, there's going to be more to come. I promise you. Anyway. Today's guest is a two-time All-League baseball player out of his high school in Anaheim. He was an All-Pac-10 player at UCLA. He was an All-Star and batting champion in AAA for the Buffalo Bisons, I think in 2006. In 2022, he was inducted into the Buffalo Bisons Hall of Fame. He played 7 seasons in the major leagues for the Indians. He was a 5th-round draft pick for the Indians, played 7 seasons, played for the Indians, the Phillies, the Blue Jays, the Rays, the Astros, and the Yankees, getting the frequent flyer miles.
Sure.
He's currently a scout for the Anaheim Angels. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Francisco. Ben, thanks for coming on, bud.
Thanks for having me. Nice to hear all those accolades, taking it way back to high school, but I appreciate you having me, and I'm excited to be on.
Did I miss any accolades though? Did anything strike you? Did I cover most of your stuff?
I think you got it all.
Okay.
You didn't miss too much, other than maybe 2-time batting champ in the minor league. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, first short season I was a batting champ as well. So
okay,
got 2 of those. None in the big leagues, but I was a pretty decent player in the minor leagues.
Yeah. Hey, that's awesome, man. So, like I said, you're currently a scout for the Anaheim Angels.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still doing the broadcasting thing?
Yeah, so I've been calling college baseball for the Pac-12 for the past, I think, 6 years. Obviously, now the Pac-12 is in the distant past, so we'll see what happens in the future. But I just finished this past season with the Pac-12, and
beautiful.
We'll see if I catch on with the Big 10 or Big 12 and do some games when I'm out here. So.
Okay, the goal is to keep doing it, though.
Yeah, I like it as a kind of a side hobby.
Side gig.
Yeah, college baseball, that's where it all started for me.
Sure.
So being back on campus always brings back good memories.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I've always wanted to be a broadcaster. Who'd you look up to broadcasting wise, like growing up? I was just curious. Like, did you have a go-to voice?
I had the 2 greats, and growing up in Southern California, huge Lakers fan. So Chick Hearn was my guy. Watching all the Laker games with Magic, and then obviously early in Kobe and Shaq's career, he was there. And then Vince Scully with the Dodgers.
Then the all-time great.
The two best to hear as a kid, and I used to try and mimic them with my dad watching games. So rest in peace to those 2.
That's cool. Cool. Well, yeah. Hopefully you get picked up from the Big 10, or like you said, Big 12. We'll see what happens. It's kind of a sad time for the Pac-12 conference. You know what I mean? Speaking of the Big 10, let me start off here, off topic a little bit. From 1 to 10, how big of a disaster would you rate Deshaun Foster's Big 10 Media Day for UCLA?
He's owning it, but I would say that's about a 12.
Yeah. I didn't see what he said. Did he own it?
He's wearing shirts now that say "We are from LA" on campus and stuff. So yeah, not a good introduction, but hoping it. Brighter times ahead for the UCLA football program.
And I hope he's successful. I think he's going to be a good coach for you guys too. But boy, I wanted to bury my head in the sand watching that. We've all done it. We've all frozen, in front of people. But my goodness, that was tough.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, back to kind of scouting, because that's what you're really doing now. Talk to me a little bit how you got into scouting and, kind of day-to-day operations as a scout.
Yeah, so, I got done playing and took a year off, kind of hang out at home. I just had my first kid, Cruz, so just spent a good year with him at home, off the road, and just nice to be settled for a year. And then Billy Epler, who was the general manager at the Angels, he was in New York when I was there, and he kind of brought me to the Yankees. So I had a relationship with him, and he just kind of called me one day and said, "Hey, I'd like to have you come work for me. Any interest in joining our scouting staff?" And I was like, I didn't know anything about it, what that was. So I said, I'll check it out. I was like, give me a month and we'll see if I like it, see if it's something I want to keep doing. He's like, yeah, no problem. Just come out and see if you like it. One thing leads to another. I tried out and kind of stuck with there. Now he's obviously gone. We've had new general manager since, Perry Manasseh, and I've kind of still doing some scouting, but I've done a lot of player development now too as well.
Okay.
So I'm working with minor league outfielders and base runners. So
Cool.
It's been a good transition. Seeing a different side of things from playing side to kind of the scouting front office side now and the seeing some player development stuff. So it's been cool. Just staying in the game and being involved.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot since I played, but I'm learning a lot, still learning every day, and just trying to help use my experiences the best I can.
As a scout, I know you're doing more player development, but back when you were doing more scouting, what do you look for when you go out to scout somebody? Like they send you to Dominican Republic. Yeah. Like, what are the things that kind of catch? I'm sure every scout's a little different, right? Yeah. What are you looking for as a former player? What are you kind of looking for to kind of distinguish somebody from the other to where, okay, I think this kid might have the tools to do it?
So tools are obviously what everybody looks for at a showcase, right? You're going to look at tools. How hard they throw, how fast they run. For me, I like to see how they play the game, their baseball IQ. Situationally, how are they running the bases? Can they execute a pitch in the clutch with a runner in scoring position? Can they have good at-bats when a runner's in scoring position, driving those tough runs? So I like to look at baseball IQ, play the game the right way, hustle, those type of things. Those are separators, and those are what create good teams and winning baseball.
Right.
We like to call them winning players because you can have a guy with all the tools in the world, be the best hitter, but if he's not a good teammate and doesn't play the game the right way, he's not going to produce so many wins and have as much value as a guy that does a little bit of everything and helps the team win in multiple ways. Yeah.
What do you think the difference is from being on the scout side of things, from somebody like just take your career, for instance, good player, played 7 years, to make it to the big leagues, you're one of the top players out of college, you know what I mean? You're still, sure, you ended up being a kind of a utility player, whatever, spending some years. Do you know kind of what do you see, or what maybe differentiates somebody like you, very good player, lasted 7 years, to a Mike Trout, to a Barry Bonds? Is it literally just genes and God essentially blessing these guys, or?
Yeah, I think God-given ability is a thing. I think those guys are blessed with just a natural innate ability. Like I tell myself all the time, like A-Rod or Robinson Cano, those guys can fall out of bed, and Bryce Harper, these guys are just going to be good baseball players. Yeah. Guys like myself, we had to work a little bit harder. We all work hard. I'm not saying those guys work harder than me, or we all, to get to be able to sustain at that level, the big league level, takes a tremendous amount of work and work ethic. So that's one thing. But in my case, you're always looking for that one adjustment that can get you to be consistent, can take you from role player, utility player to a big league starter, and then from once you get to that level, you're trying to find that thing that'll take you to an all-star, and then you try and take it to a Hall of Fame or whatever. So we're always looking for something. Even those guys, like the Trouts, the Mookies, the Robinson Cano, those guys are every day. They're tinkering, they're in the cage trying to find that little thing that can get them going for that night, right?
Yeah.
So, but I would say mainly the difference is they are the best players, but the discipline, the consistency, and the hard work that they put in, their routines every day, is kind of separates them as well. I played with some really good players that just didn't get the opportunity, or they were in a slump, and it's a lot of it's the right time, right place, and that opportunity, especially getting to the big leagues. Play with some good minor league players that never got there. Now what held them back? It could have been injury. It could have been
guy in front of them. They're in front of a 12-time All-Star.
But the Hall of Fame, the elite, I do believe in that. It's God-given ability, but to sustain it and to get to where they are, to be in the Hall of Fame, it takes a lot of skill and work ethic as well.
Yeah, I was always curious if there's what that one difference is. Yeah, exactly. If you could, you bottle and sell it, right? So, last question on scouting. I was also curious, how does it work for scouts? Let's say you discover somebody, right? Like, hey, Angels, there's a kid in the Dominican or Japan. We got to sign him, and you guys sign him. If he ends up making it to the big leagues and being, a good player, star player, do scouts get money based off of that?
No, it would be nice.
Okay.
They don't. So the only thing you get is...
So when you found Ohtani, you didn't get...
I found Ohtani on some backfield in Japan, right? Correct?
Yeah.
So I technically am the signing scout for Ohtani.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, because...
look, see, I was joking, but here you go. Guys, we have in the living room the person that's responsible for Ohtani.
I'll take full credit for that. Nobody else saw him. I wish I got a little credit for that $700 million contract, right? No, those guys are grinders, man. The scouts, especially the amateur guys, they're out there putting in crazy hours in their car, driving from city to city, state to state, to find the Mike Trout, who was a little known guy in New Jersey, right? And you find Robinson, in the Dominican Republic, he wasn't the biggest prospect coming out of the DR, obviously.
Right.
No, he's this guy. But no, you don't get anything. You just get pat on the back from the GM, and you get a little love, maybe a bottle of champagne they'll send you.
I don't know why.
But you don't get any compensation.
Because you see all the time, these guys, like you said, they're grinders.
Yeah,
so you'd hope if you're out there, you're looking almost like a lottery ticket. You're looking for that Ohtani or Trout to kind of. I guess their lottery ticket is they find enough of those guys, they're going to get maybe promoted or head scout or
that's the thing.
That's it.
So a lot of those guys, a lot of the GMs start in like amateur level scouting. They keep working their way up. But some of these guys have been there.
Do you have any desire for the front office at all?
Yeah, I can see myself doing front office stuff. Our friend Josh Barfield, he just got a assistant GM job with the White Sox. He's loving it, I can see that career path for me as well. I mean, there's two paths to go. You can go in the front office role or back on the field coaching. So I can see myself doing either.
Okay.
But anything in baseball is what I love. And,
yeah.
I could probably adapt. And I tell myself I can adapt and figure out anything. Hopefully.
Yeah. Is Barfield? Does he, as assistant GM, does he live in Chicago?
He gets to stay here off season. During the season, he's there full time.
Okay. Because I would love to have him on the pod as well.
Shout out Josh.
I'll have to have Josh come
on the podcast.
All right, let's take it to little Benny out. Go ahead.
Did Josh ever pay you his money for the bet you guys made for the Miami? Did you owe him or did he owe you?
No, what happened was I think him and Upton, I think they owed me again, and then we did a double or nothing, and I lost. I think we're even.
So you lost, okay.
Correct. Okay. So we are. Yes, I'm. And Barfield can correct me, but I'm pretty sure if
when he comes out.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure if I owed him, he would have told me. But I think I think we ended up breaking even on that bet. But I'll probably fire something out this year.
You're confident.
Anyway, back to little Benny. Grew up in Southern California and out of Anaheim?
Yeah, Anaheim, California. Survey High School, as you said. But yeah, born and raised in Southern California. And
you played every sport, like most kids growing up our age, where it wasn't literally just like focused on one sport like they do now?
Yes, I played basketball, soccer, and baseball. I was kind of a smaller kid, so I never played football.
Okay.
Even in high school, I was the smallest kid on the team. Smallest kid on my basketball team, smallest kid on the baseball team. So I was always afraid of getting broken in half.
Sure.
So I never played football, but I was, I played everything. Played soccer probably more than I played baseball.
Oh, really?
Up until my junior year of high school. Then I kind of just put them all down and focused on baseball.
Were you always better at? Did you enjoy soccer more, or were you?
Yeah, because at my size, that was one I was the best at because I was smaller than everybody in baseball. I didn't hit the ball as far. I didn't throw as hard. Basketball, smallest guy on the team. Okay. So I was going in there with some giants. In soccer, I could kind of find my niche. And be small and be fast and kind of do my thing.
Oh, cool. So you played all sports, and then in high school you just focused on baseball your junior year?
Yes, my junior year.
I heard you didn't make the varsity team, right, at baseball your freshman or sophomore year, so you were kind of like the Michael Jordan of Anaheim, right? I mean,
for sure, yeah. Like I said, I was too small to probably even compete and be competitive at baseball as a sophomore for sure. Junior year.
Growth spurt, maybe?
Not really.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I did hit my first homer over the fence, Little League, everything, Pony League, junior year of high school.
Really?
Finally hit one over the fence, got a little stronger. Then my senior year, I kind of grew and put on some weight. Not a ton of weight, but I kind of was a little bit below average instead of extremely below average. So, junior year, kind of, baseball was always my first love. So I kind of knew that's what I wanted to do. And, I knew it was good. I just had to wait for the growth spurt. And,
you had a nice junior year. Right?
Yeah, junior year.
All league. And
junior year, we had a great team and, a lot of success team-wise and individually. And then senior year, obviously, we were really good.
From high school, did you go strictly, did you get drafted out of high school or did you go, I know you went to college. I said you went to UCLA, but did you go straight from high school to UCLA? Did you get drafted? Like kind of what was the...
So I actually got drafted, yes. I got drafted out of high school in the 32nd round.
Okay.
And
back when they had 50-something rounds,
they had 60-something rounds, yeah. So I got drafted. And at that time, it was called a draft and fall. They're going to draft you, and then we'll see where you are next year before the draft, and we can sign you before you go back into the draft.
Okay.
Or before you go to college, you got to stay 3 years. Still the same today, but so I was a draft and fall. They didn't really offer me a contract. It was an agreement. We're going to draft you. We have your rights up until the following draft, the 2000 draft. So I did that, and I went to junior college for a year.
So being drafted in the 32nd round, like for you, like most that didn't interest you at all to try to give it a go.
I don't think they would have given me a lot of money probably, but sure, their intention was, I think they wanted to see if I would grow a little bit too, because honestly, I was probably just too small and not able to compete. So they were going to wait it out a year, me as well. But, unless it was going to be a lot of money, I was probably going to end up going to college, which I did.
Yeah. Were you recruited heavily out of high school, or did you take the JC route?
Yeah, so I went to JC for 1 year. I was recruited a little bit, but I was more, not ready to play it. Because I was young. I was a 17-year-old when I graduated, so I was younger from my class. So that probably didn't help. So I was younger, and all the schools wanted me to come redshirt. No scholarship back then. It was only 11.7 scholarships. So it was come redshirt for a year.
What schools?
Arizona State, Loyola Marymount, Cal State Fullerton. Come redshirt for a year.
Some big time programs.
Yeah, yeah. And come redshirt for a year, and we'll see if you can grow. We show our weight program, and then you can play next year. I was like, well, I don't know. And then I got drafted. So I was like, well, I'm going to go to junior college, see if I do grow, and if they're going to give me a lot of money next year before the draft, which didn't happen. I go to JC, and then my first month in junior college, UCLA calls, and I take a trip up there before the junior college season even starts, and I just fell in love with the campus. And that's kind of where I always wanted to go. And once they offered me a scholarship, I signed there before the baseball season even started at my first year at Cypress. And, so junior college coach wasn't too happy because it was only going to be 1 year with me, but ended up being 1 year and then on to UCLA.
How'd the recruiting trip go for you at UCLA?
Went on a recruiting trip. I think it was with 2 other baseball players.
Yeah, who was your host?
So my host was Charles Merrick.
Okay.
He was a player at the time, and Chase Utley was there, Garrett Atkins was there, Bill Scott.
There were some big boys.
Team. Went to a football game, went to a couple of parties, stayed on campus, and next day I was like, "This is where I want to be." Signed up the next day. They offered me a scholarship before he could even get the words out of his mouth. I said yes. So I was there.
Yeah, I always wish I was able to do a recruiting trip.
Oh, man, yeah. The program, it's kind of just like that.
Yeah.
But maybe not today. It's probably a little more laid back. But back in the day, it was...
Yeah, it was crazy.
Whatever goes. And, whatever happens on campus stays on campus.
No, that's awesome. And then you had a very good career at UCLA, right? You played... Your freshman year, you had a big season.
Mm-hmm.
How was it actually juggling? UCLA is obviously one of the top academic schools in the country. How was it for you juggling, playing baseball? Because I'm always wondering, like, as an athlete, how is it doing the schoolwork, juggling the baseball and all the things that are required of you, practice and all that stuff? And it's one thing doing it at ASU, and it's not easy no matter where you're at. But, at a school like UCLA, has to be tough.
Yeah, it was extremely tough. You're trying to fit all this in pretty much a 16-hour day, right? If you factor in 8 hours of sleep. So you're up early, doing weight stuff before class, and you go to class, rushing home from class, right to the baseball field for practice, get your practice in, and then you're doing a little extra stuff. You want to be really good, which we all did, and so you're hitting extra, taking extra ground balls, fly balls, whatever it may be, getting done with practice 8, 9 o'clock, running home, trying to get something to eat, and then what do you have to do? Schoolwork, right?
Yeah.
And you got schoolwork, so that didn't even factor in the social time you wanted to have between hanging out with your buddies or girlfriends or whatever. Yeah. So it was a lot, right? And you just learn to manage time. You become efficient with your time. Literally, I had my days planned from the minute, up to the minute every day. And, if one thing goes off, you're going to be late on something, especially out there. It can be a little tough getting around that campus between the hills, the traffic, the parking. So you had to be efficient with everything. Me and my roommates, we definitely figured out a system, and we roll with it. But like I said, it taught me how to be disciplined, how to be focused on the task at hand, and getting your schoolwork in. They don't take it easy on you because you're an athlete. You're expected to.
Or is that just baseball? Were there basketball guys that
basketball, football? I mean, there's a couple of professors that would maybe more lenient. They tried to see into those classes, but for the most part, you're just like any other student.
Because I had a couple basketball guys in my class at ASU back in the day, and I
never saw
them. Never saw them. Literally saw them first day. And that was it. I didn't think they showed up for the final. I don't want to rat ASU out, but I'm telling you.
No, UCLA, you're expected to do everything. I mean, I remember had a couple classes with Jason Capone. He was our best player at the time.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so he was.
So he was in class.
He was in class all the time. Ricky Manning, our football player, and Deshaun Foster was actually there too at the same time as me. So those guys were in class and they were on campus. You saw them walk around campus going to school.
And I'm sure plenty of ASU athletes were in school as well. I'm not. So your freshman year, you have a great year. Were you all conference freshman year as well? Or started?
Yeah. I think I was. And then obviously, I don't know if we get to my junior year, but yeah.
And then sophomore year, you were all conference, right? Had an even better season.
Yeah.
At this point, are you thinking draft or because you can get drafted after your freshman year, correct?
No, once you go to college, you got to be after
third year.
3 years removed from high school graduation. So.
All right, so you have a big year. You're all Pac-10 again, heading into your junior season. You got to be thinking, okay, I put in the work. I'm feeling like I'm going to be a relatively high draft pick going into the season. How'd the junior season go for you?
The junior season started out great. Like you said, I was, preseason all Pac-10, preseason like top 2-3 round pick in the draft. Some, you see it's not you don't see as much as you would now. We didn't have social media or anything. It was pretty much reading the newspaper.
Yeah.
You didn't have really internet back then. So, word gets out, and I'm one of the best players in Pac-10, so I'm expected to go high in the draft if I just keep my head down and keep plugging away. So, get off to a good start my junior year. The team's doing well. We're, I think, top 20 in the country. And Pac-10 season starts, and we go to Oregon State, and I just dive for a ball, end up breaking my collarbone. I think it was our first or second series in conference. So that happened, tough blow, and I'm missing the rest of my junior year. My roommate, who was our best pitcher, he tears his ACL the next game.
Oh, boy.
So team-wise...
Season wiped out for the boys, too.
Team-wise, season's over. We're both the two best players gone for the year, right? And, it was a struggle. I'm thinking, oh, man, I'm going to come back to school. I was expecting, to go play professional baseball. My dream come true. And I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I didn't play the rest of my junior year.
So you were a little bit worried.
A little bit worried for sure. Yeah. A little bit worried. Silver lining is I go back to UCLA and, but if you go back as a
not
senior,
a bad option B.
Obviously, your leverage is way less and you're not going to get as much of a signing bonus. So that was in the back of my mind too. Luckily, I had done enough between my first 3 years and summer ball and all that stuff and still wind up going in the 5th round, which I thought I was going to go second or third round and then going to the 5th round.
So were you a little bit disappointed then?
I was...
And I know it's different then. Like today, it's on MLB Network, the whole thing. Back then, I think we had to watch it on the computer or listen to the radio. Right?
We're in our dorm. Yeah. I'm in a sling, or in our apartment, not a dorm, but I'm in a sling. He's got his knee up in a knee brace, and we're just listening to the draft.
Round by
round. And third round goes, nothing here, nothing. Name doesn't get called. Finally, I get a phone call. And we're in like the 5th round, and it's the Cleveland Indians who had taken me in high school.
Oh, is that who drafted you out of high school?
So they come back in the 5th round, and phone rings, and we're going to take you. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow, 5th round is still pretty good. It's really good, right? And so they end up taking me, and, the rest is history. I signed, came out.
Now, did they try to hold your shoulder injury against you as far as the signing
a little
bonus?
bit. Yeah, that was, they tried to use the negotiation as... anybody would. But, I put my cards on the table and I decided I want to be a professional baseball player. So I did that. Ended up signing that June. 2 weeks later, my shoulder's healthy at this time, and I go out to short season ball in Mahoning Valley A-ball, and that's when I won the batting title right off a broken collarbone. And kind of that
incredible
put me on the map to becoming a prospect.
Where does an organization rank a 5th rounder, though? Like, obviously, if you're a first rounder or second rounder, they're certainly looking at you hard and wanting you to fast track. Fifth round, you're still kind of got some eyeballs on you, right? That's a relatively high draft.
Yeah, it's a high pick, and you still have a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
The lower you go, the less leeway you're going to have, and the more opportunities you're going to have. First round, obviously, you get the most opportunities. But once I did that, and so
there was no for you. There was no real transition period as far as sometimes coming from college to professional.
Yeah,
takes a little while to get adjusted, and you freaking boom right away.
I surprised myself for sure. I mean, I came out guns ablaze. I think I had 3 or 4 hits my first game. I was hitting 400 for the first 2 months.
Wow,
it was crazy.
Yeah,
and that happened, and I was young all the way through. I told you I was young from my high school class, and that actually ended up helping me in professional baseball because now here's this younger kid who came right out of college and did this, and that really put me on the map, and I think was a springboard for the rest.
Yeah, because you moved through the minors on a pretty nice trajectory.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, short A-ball season, batting title. Next year you go to regular A-ball, right? Mm-hmm. And you batted 300 then too, right? Yeah. Crushed it.
Got a good year, and then
Double A.
Skipped high A-ball, went straight to Double A.
And had a phenomenal year in the Double A.
And then another injury. So
did you get hurt again?
Got hurt again. Tore my ligament in my thumb, so I had to go back to Double A, and then back then you don't move as quick as you do now. Now it's like you have a good 2 months, and they want to test you because they want you to get there to the big leagues as young as possible. For financial purposes, it's better. And back then it was like, we're gonna groom you, slow cook.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Put you in the oven, and you're gonna make sure you're ready to go to the next level. And then you're gonna make sure you're ready to go to the next level. And then we're gonna make sure you're ready twice before you go to the big leagues for a lot of us. So they slow played it, and went to Double A and then on to Triple A. And
how was your experience in minor league baseball, coming from UCLA and then being in the low A-ball again, bus rides, horrible hotels, right? Like
you said it. So my first in A-ball, we'll go back to A-ball. We opened a new team in Cleveland, which is our big league team. They opened a team outside of Cleveland in Lake County. So we're in the Northeast Cleveland. We played in the South Atlantic League.
Oh, really?
All the teams we played were in Georgia and Mississippi, South Carolina. So we were busing from Northeast Ohio all the way down every road trip. We were the farthest team north.
And what is that, 15-hour bus ride?
Some were like 18, 20 hours.
God.
It was ridiculous.
Brutal.
And back then you're taking one bus for 30 players and coaches. So you're doubling up on this bus. So you play a game that night at 7, get on the bus probably around 11:30, 12, and you show up to the next hotel at like 9 a.m. Play that night in the next city. It was crazy. Now they get a day off every Monday. They have a little bit easier, and it's more regionalized, but long bus rides, but good memories.
You probably gained more bonded
with your teammates like you wouldn't believe, and still good friends with a lot of guys on those bus trips, and you end up working your way up to the minor leagues with a lot of these guys. So that bond, like you said, is inseparable.
Does the living get any better throughout the ranks of minors, or is it still pretty much shitty all the way up until the big leagues? Like at AAA, is it still? Do you feel you're starting to get your feet wet? Like I'm close to the big leagues. The living's a little better, or is it still?
No, it got a little better each level, just a touch.
Yeah.
But definitely AAA is a lot better than obviously low A ball. You're just in better cities a lot of the time. And the AAA cities are all in like a little bit bigger cities, so you have a little more options. Better food, better restaurants, all that stuff, and better apartments. But it's now they formed a union in minor league baseball. I don't know if you know this. So they formed a union, and they have it a lot more structured and a lot more. I don't want to say nicer, but better amenities for the players, and the teams are paying for it. They're getting paid more. Their teams are required to provide breakfast, lunch, dinner for these players. They provide the housing.
Yeah, that's incredible. Because for you guys, they didn't do that, right?
We're making way less money.
Yeah, because I think I saw a story. It was on like 60. I think it might have been on 60 Minutes, where one of these minor leaguers was, I think, trying to sue MLB because of
the lawsuit.
Oh yeah, so I'm glad it's changed because, like you said, I mean, you guys were playing for nothing.
Nothing.
you had to provide the housing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was really, really taking advantage of you guys. It's crazy in organizations that make that kind of money.
No doubt.
Wouldn't spend the money in the players that they're hoping one day, makes the organization successful.
Yeah, like, I was fortunate to have a little bit of a signing bonus.
Yes.
If you didn't come from a signing bonus, and back then the draft was 60 rounds, so the majority of these guys didn't have a signing bonus. And you have players with families, wives and kids, and they're trying to live and provide on the minor league salary, which was not conducive, and a lot of players didn't make it because of that reason.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
Yep.
Right, you gotta love it. Back to you're moving up nicely. You move over to Buffalo and still. So you really had because Buffalo again batted .300, won a batting title, all international all-star. It's rare to see somebody, even some of the top prospects, like you never struggled at all.
Yeah.
In the minor league level. Yeah. That's pretty fair to say, right?
I hit every level. Did my thing on minor league level for sure. 2 batting titles, like I said, and produced pretty much everywhere I was. So, yeah, I think I had to. We were stacked. So many good players, such a good farm system, and I had to keep proving myself, and you felt like that. I had a chip on my shoulder, and felt like if I had a down year or a bad year, might not have a next year.
You could fall big time, right? Then you made, as I referenced in the introduction to you, you played so well in Buffalo that a couple years ago you were inducted into the Buffalo Bison's Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I know it's minor league or whatever, but still AAA. It's still a humongous honor. Like, how did you feel when you got the call that they were putting you in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, it was amazing. Like, it's a really, really storied franchise, and they've been there forever. And a lot of good memories there. The front office staff, Buchkowski, and the people around that team that have been there for 30, 40 years were amazing. And then so they called me, and there's some good players in the Hall of Fame, and said I'd been selected by the media over there, and I got to take my family back there, which Cindy had never been there. I met her after I was got out of Buffalo, so my kids got to see me there and go through the whole ceremony. And like you said, any Hall of Fame you go to is an honor. So I feel very fortunate and blessed to be in that Hall of Fame. The ceremony was great. Had to give a little speech, and then got to talk to some old friends and faces from the Booster Club. People that watched me play there were still there. Took me down memory lane a little bit, but it's a great city. Buffalo is, it's a
working man city.
Sleeper town. It's like the people they love their Bills, obviously, but the Bisons are the next thing they have. That's the only thing they have close to professional, big league team, and they support the team phenomenally. And they had the Blue Jays there a couple of years ago during COVID when the Blue Jays played there because they couldn't go to Toronto. So it's a great sports town. It's a great working town, and definitely, like you said,
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So you finally, in 2007, walk me through. You finally get called up. Walk me through the moment. How did it happen? What was kind of your call-up story?
Yeah, so I think we were in Pawtucket, Rhode Island playing. We were on the road in Buffalo playing the Red Sox AAA team, and I get a call at like 6 a.m. Hotel phone's ringing, which hotel phone doesn't ring. We barely got cell phones. We had cell phones, but not like we do now back then, 2007. So hotel phone rings, and I think my roommate might have answered. I want to talk to Ben. It's our manager calling. He calls me, and once that happens, you kind of have it in the back of your mind. It might be
why is he calling me at 6 a.m.?
Or you could be traded, right? One or the other. So he calls me, says, Benny, like, blah, blah, blah. I need you to come to my room. Go talk to him in his room, and he gives me news. And it was Torey Lovella, who's now the manager
for the D-backs. Cool.
So he had managed me in AA and AAA. So I had in his UCLA Bruin. So great relationship with Torey. And for him to give me that call was pretty special. We're both crying in the room. He's hugging me. He's like, call your dad, blah, blah. You got to be on this flight in 2 hours, and you're playing the night. So get your stuff packed up and get to the airport and get out of here. Whirlwind, time's flying. So, I'm out of there. Like you said, I'm crying, really emotional. Just thinking about all the people who,
that helped you along the way.
Helped me along the way. I played a part in that. First call I make is my dad, my mom,
And how were they? They obviously probably lost it themselves.
Lost it, right? So we're playing the Indians are playing in the old RFK, that they're playing the Nationals, which was a new team at the time, so they didn't have the stadium. So we're playing RFK. My dad gets a flight to RFK. I jump on a flight from Pawtucket to DC, join the team, and end up pinch hitting that night and making my debut, which,
how was that?
Something you always do, oh man, yeah. That was one of the most happiest and nerve-wracking things you could ever go through.
What inning were you?
I pinch hit in the ninth inning. We're losing by 1 run. I pinch hit off Chad Cordero, who was probably one of the best closers at the time in the big leagues.
Hey kid, get up here.
Yeah. Hey, Benny, get up. You're pinch hitting. And we were in a pennant race in 07. The Indians were really good, right? So I think somebody got hurt. That's why I got called up. So I'm in there filling in. And, every game mattered. So you're not in there on a rebuilding team trying to just get your feet. You're expected to win. And they call you up. You better produce or you're going back to AAA tomorrow. So nervous, my legs shaking in the batter's box. I can barely even hold the bat. I think I punched out on a slider. But I didn't even know what I was doing. I think
you probably blacked out.
Yeah, I blacked out. And, come back in the dugout. But it's just a dream come true. Dad was able to make it. And then, we go home to Cleveland. And
what was cool for you, too, though, is your high school buddy and one of your best friends was also on the Indians then, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Garco.
Ryan Garco, exactly. So Gark and I played high school together, same freshman class all the way to senior class. He played varsity all the way through. He's really mature and huge. So played together in high school. He ends up going to Stanford. I go to UCLA. Played against each other in college. And then I get drafted to Cleveland. He ends up staying for his senior year at Stanford. He gets drafted to Cleveland the following year. So
that's awesome.
Then we play A-ball, AA, and AAA together again, just like old times.
Oh, that's great.
He gets called up a little bit before me, and then I get called up.
So it had to help a little bit for you, too, like going to a new place, making the big league, just having that familiar face to
100%. And it's a crazy story. Like, you don't see that often. Like, you maybe see another guy from your high school, but for us to be in the same class.
Oh, yeah. No, it's crazy.
Play together, then play together in the minor leagues, play together in the big leagues, and then to this day, he's still one of my best friends. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Now our kids are best friends and playing together, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool story, baseball story we have.
No, it's great. You had maybe one of the best first starts anybody could have in their career, right?
Yeah.
So you're playing the Rays at home.
Yep.
Right. I imagine your parents. Showed up for the first game at home, so you got your first big league hit that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the bottom of the ninth?
Bottom of the ninth.
Big Benny comes up. Walk us through it.
Yeah, walk you through it. So first hit early in the game.
Off a buddy of yours now, Edwin Jackson.
Buddy of mine now. I was about to say Edwin Jackson, really good friend of mine now.
It's got to be good holding that over, right?
For
Having
sure.
him as your first big league.
Off him, but I got my first big league hit.
Still.
For sure. So I got a hit off Edwin, single in the right field, and then like I said, we're in a pennant race, and, we had a really hard manager. Eric Wedge, he was,
hard-nosed
guy. No joking around. We're here to win, play hard the whole 9 innings. And, I come up in the bottom of the ninth, first home game, and I'm facing Sean Camp, a guy who I had faced in AAA either that year or the year before. So I kind of knew what he kind of threw and what to expect. I think he ended up throwing me a slider, hangs a slider, and I hit a homer to left field, walk-off homer. And
What's going through your mind at
What's
that
going
moment?
through my mind? The crowd is sold-out crowd. Crowd's going nuts. We're in the middle of a pennant race. I'm like, oh, my gosh, did I really just do this? I just hit a home run to win the game, my first start in Jacobs Field. Sprint around the base. I don't even remember. I'm floating around the base, but I ran super fast around the bases. Come in, just get mobbed by my teammates, beer shower, pie in the face, everything you can imagine, Everybody's just so happy for me, and I'm happy for myself. My dad, mom in the stands, my best friend, his dad are in the stands, and, I get in the clubhouse. By the time I get everything off my phone, I have like 200 messages, and I don't really realize how big of a deal it was until I'm getting messages all through the night. Hey, I see you on sports, and I'm in there in a bar watching the game, and I see buddies from back home. I see Ben Francisco at a home run. Like, congrats, blah, 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 big leagues. I'm just getting messages from everywhere. People watching sports, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, everything you do in the big leagues is on TV.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's seeing it. If you do something good, everyone's going to see it. If you do something not so good, probably everybody's going to see it too.
Oh, yeah.
So, in the minor leagues, you don't walk off homer.
Oh, yeah.
No big deal. You're on the next game. There, it lasts for so long because so many people see it.
And like you said, you're in a pennant race.
In a pennant race.
On one of the better teams in baseball.
So we go out that night to celebrate with a couple of my friends, and, everybody on the street is, congratulating me. And, I'm walking around town. Now I'm getting recognized in Cleveland, which first time actually kind of, quote unquote, being famous. And seeing people recognize you and want to shake your hand and sign something and buy you a drink, whatever. So it was
so cool.
Pretty surreal experience.
Yeah, what a first start again. Not many players can say they had the big league start like you. So
yeah, it was
incredible.
It really was incredible, and
that you stayed up the rest of the year.
Like I said, I was up there. I think maybe Jason Michaels got hurt, another right-handed hitting outfielder, and so I went down, and then I came back up later in the year. When he got healthy, I think I went down, kept playing, and then I came back up right around the trade deadline, and then they ended up trading for Kenny Lofton.
Yeah, so
they wanted a veteran player to make the playoff push. Yeah. So I was up on the team, but I didn't play that much.
How was Kenny Lofton as a teammate? Obviously, one of the all-time greats.
Great, he was great. Still talking.
Did you get to pick his brain at all?
As much as I could. He was my guy. That when he got there, he kind of chose me to be his rookie to haze and carry his bags and make sure his suitcase got to the hotel. Get him coffee, get him donuts, whatever he wanted. I had to do it. So I was his guy that he chose, which is cool.
Yeah, which is great.
I looked up to Kenny Lofton as a kid, and so he was great to me, and he's still cool to me. I still talk to him every now and then, and I see him or somewhere we'll talk, and if I text him, he'll text me back. So, it was cool to have Kenny choose me to be his rookie.
Awesome. Like we were saying, the Indians were in the pennant race. You guys won the division.
Yeah.
I think you had the best record in baseball that year.
Yeah, we did.
Were you in the playoff?
Yeah. So I was in back then, you have a 25-man playoff roster, so then they keep 3 players around in the playoffs in case someone gets hurt. So I was
one of those.
Pretty much a 26th guy.
Okay.
So I was traveling with the team, working out with them and everything. And
how was that experience?
It was amazing.
I know you weren't playing much then as a 26th guy or whatever, but how was the first playoff experience?
It was cool. We were playing the Yankees, we played the Red Sox. And then, we had CC, Sabathia on the team, and Carmona, like you said, we were the best team in baseball. So I got to, go experience Yankee Stadium in the playoffs. We faced Roger Clemens in the playoffs. Yeah. And then we're going to Boston, Fenway Park, and facing Manny and Big Papi. Yeah. And that's who ended up beating us. But getting my feet wet of playoff baseball and that experience and seeing the atmosphere and the media, the coverage, and, just how many eyes are on you. It's like being a regular big league game times 10. So seeing that as a rookie was invaluable.
That's awesome. You did end up starting the next year in 2008. You then also started in AAA, did you not?
Mm-hmm.
Were you a little disappointed in that, or did you think you had to think that because you did the time that you were playing, you played very well for a rookie. So were you expecting?
Yeah, nothing's so. They don't give you anything. I mean, I definitely felt like I earned it. And I went to spring training that year, played my butt off, and probably was the best player we had in spring training. So they took it to the last day, and they called me in and said, "Benny, you made the team, but we just don't have a spot for you. Like, you got to go back to AAA because baseball is a thing called options, right? So if you're a young player, you have 3 options, and if you have an option, they can send you to AAA and nothing happens. Now, if you're a veteran guy who they paid $8 million, or another guy who doesn't have options, if you don't make the team, they lose you.
Yeah, they release you.
So a lot of teams want to have depth and keep you there just in case. So,
So they were like, say you made the team, but not really. And you're like, no, I didn't make the team, assholes.
Yeah, so, one of the hardest
that had to be
days
tough.
of my career right there. I was crying and like, what do you mean I made the team? Like, I told Eric Wedge, and he's like, yeah, Benny, like, did everything we asked you to do, blah, blah, blah. Like, we just, the front office they want to have these guys on the team, X and Y, and, you're going to be up here soon. You're going AAA, but don't let it affect you. You're going to be up here soon. You're going to help us get back to the playoffs. And, they say that, but you don't want to hear that at that time. So, tough loss. All my teammates, everybody knew I was one of the best players we had in spring training. Everybody tries to console you and tell you keep your head up and we'll see you soon. So off you go to AAA, which was a tough pill to swallow.
Oh, totally.
You get a taste of big league life is like nothing else. So Yeah, it was tough, but like I said,
Probably made you stronger.
doesn't matter. Nothing's given to you in baseball. You got to earn everything, and somebody got to earn it twice.
You did make it back up, and you ended up becoming a full-time player that year.
Yeah,
right? Having a really good season.
Yeah, you can't let it hold you down. You can either two ways you can handle it, right? You can keep going and get back there and prove everybody wrong, play with a chip on your shoulder, or you can sulk and probably affect your performance. So, ended up coming back that year and ended up batting third, and I think finishing in the top top 6 for rookie of the year that year in 2008. So, ended up having a really good year.
And then you had another good year in, what was it, 09?
Mm-hmm.
Started with the Indians, had another good year, and then trade deadline comes, and I imagine you got the other phone call that you were talking about earlier. How did that go down?
Yeah, that went down. The trade deadline is always a crazy time in a big league clubhouse.
Were you hearing, like you said, everybody's speculating?
Yeah,
whatever.
no. So I got traded with Cliff Lee, and everybody knew he was going to get traded. He was the best pitcher in the league at that time, and we were not having a good year. So you're expecting all your veteran guys to get traded, right? Young guys who I'm having a good year.
Having a good year, and like you said, was a top 6 rookie of the year.
Exactly. I'm playing well, doing my thing. I'm not expecting. I'm like, I'm going to rebuild. I'm going to be here for a while, like whatever. And so you're hearing rumors, and Cliff's name was obviously out there, and then so we ended up getting traded together to Philly. I guess they wanted me in the deal for a right-handed hitter to go with Cliff. So no, I didn't expect myself to be traded, and that was really tough too. And surprising. Came last minute, and you've been with Cleveland since I was drafted. So I've been with them for whatever years it was, 7 years. So like my family, right? Everybody, training staff, clubhouse staff, players. It's all I knew, and it's kind of scary going to a new place as a young player. But that ended quickly once. It was nice to be going with Cliff. Cliff and I, we flew together to San Francisco. We were in Anaheim playing as Indians. The Phillies were in San Francisco, so we packed our stuff up, ended up flying to San Francisco together, and right then we go from last place to first place. We joined the best team in baseball in the Phillies.
Yeah, that's awesome. How was it walking in? It had to be good, at least getting traded with Cliff, so you already have a familiar face. What was it like walking into that locker room? I know they had just won the World Series the year before, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're stacked with future Hall of Famers or guys that are going to come very close, and right, Howard, Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Shane Victorino at the time was a great player. Yeah. So it's a pretty stacked team. How was that locker room? Did anybody kind of take you under the wing? And I know Kenny Lofton kind of took you over in Cleveland. How about in Philadelphia?
Yeah, it was, like you said, great players, and a little nervous coming into the defending World Series champions, and you get traded there, and they had the best record in baseball at the time. So you walk in there, and it's Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, guys, the best players in the league, all in one team, one clubhouse. And I had my locker next to Shane when I got to San Francisco, and from that day on, we were both outfielders, so he kind of showed me the ropes and showed me how they do things in Philly. I stayed with him. We did our outfit, took our fly balls together, we hit together. Came back to Philly. My clubhouse was right next to him in Philly as well. So I think it's because he was number 8, I was number 10. So they kind of do it by number. So we're always next to each other. But Ryan and Jimmy and Chase, all those guys, it was such a unique and close-knit clubhouse. Those guys are all best friends. And, our group today is still, we're all really close best friends. Our families are close. Just saw Shane a few weeks ago.
It seemed like a tight-knit group.
Really tight-knit group. We'd go on the road. We'd go to dinner, and a lot of teams, you go to dinner, and it's like a little clique, like 5-6 guys at a time. There we'd have 15 guys all hanging out together, pitchers, hitters, catchers, Latin, black, white, it didn't matter. We were all extremely close, and, those are my best friends today. We're all gone to each other's weddings and, been there for each other's kids, so it was cool.
Had to be a little tough for you in a sense, though, where you were just really starting to blossom as a starter, and then you get traded to this Phillies team that won the World Series, and now you're kind of back to being a bench player.
Yeah.
Was that kind of tough, though?
Yeah, it was tough. I didn't realize at the time how it was going to affect my career. At the time, I came in there and I was like, I'm going to the playoffs. That's what I want to play. You play to win the World Series. I'm like, have a chance to get a ring. That's what we all play for the game. And, so at the time, it wasn't that big of a deal. But then the next season happens, and the same thing. I'm not playing as much. And I'm like, man, I was just coming in my own. Like, I didn't know what it was like to be a quote unquote bench player, fourth outfielder. Played every day in the minor leagues. Played every day in Cleveland.
Not only played, he thrived.
Yeah, played well, and I could always hit, always did my thing, and so I got there, which is an asset for them to have.
Yeah,
guys play every day as a bench role, but obviously, it's quote unquote being a starting player and a starting player on a championship team, and the guys they had ahead of me were
you can't
all-stars.
Really,
so I can't go into Charlie Manuel's office and be like, I should be playing.
Why is Jason Worth ahead of me?
And Raul Bonds, these guys are, all-star players. So it was tough for sure, and especially going to National League where learning how to pinch hit, you got to be ready every day.
Right.
Pitchers were hitting that time, so you're playing, but you're only getting one at bat a night, and it's tough to kind of get in a groove and know where you're at.
The hardest job in sports is
that's what I'm saying. I can attest to that. It was extremely difficult. Everything happens for a reason. I like to think that. I got to play in the postseason 3 times with those guys. Obviously, I didn't play as much as I wanted to, or could have. If I don't get traded, my career might maybe take a different path and different trajectory. But it happened, and like I said, I was there for a reason, and those guys are some of my best friends
now. How was the
best memories I have?
How was the world? Your first year there, you guys made it back to the World Series. How was that playoff experience? I know you weren't getting a ton of run, but you were getting some pinch hits. You were getting in there.
I got to start 2 games in the World Series. Yeah. I started as DH.
How was that?
It was awesome.
In Yankee Stadium, right?
Brand new Yankee Stadium. The first year they opened it. I'm starting game 1 against CC, former teammate of mine in Cleveland, one of my best, a good friend of mine. Yeah. So got to face CC in the playoffs. Jay-Z and Alicia Keys are opening. 5 minutes before the game, they're in the outfield singing their New York State
of Mind or whatever. Yeah,
performing in the outfield. So I'm out in the outfield listening to live music and trying to get ready to play a game. But it was cool. You take the train from New York to Philly, so we didn't have to take a plane everywhere. And you walk to the train station, and both fan bases, as good as you can get. Love their teams, but more than anything, Northeast baseball is something different level. And so just the amount of hype and energy, you could just feel it from everywhere. Games, not even on the off days in the city, both cities, you could just feel it. It was pretty special. Playing at Yankee Stadium, it was pretty cool. I scored the first run in the new Yankee Stadium.
Oh, really?
In the regular season, yeah. So we played
there.
So
that's a trivia question.
We opened there in Cleveland that year. Then I got traded in the middle of the year. So I scored the first run there, and I played the last game there of their inaugural season. So pretty cool to do that.
Yeah.
But Yankee Stadium is Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You guys lost the World Series, though. How was
that? Tough loss. Really tough loss. And, the Yankees were really good that year.
Yeah.
We were kind of a little short maybe on starting pitching at that year. Cole, who was the ace the year before in 2008, he came back in 2009 and didn't have the year that they expected. So I think that's kind of why they traded for Cliff. Kind of help with that. And so they beat us. Matsui hit 2 homers, 8 RBIs, I think, in the last game of the series. Tough loss, but we knew we'd be back because, we had the team to do it.
Yeah.
And we were all coming back the following year. And we come back next year, and they end up training for Roy Halladay that year, and, we're right back.
And would you guys make it the next year? You guys made it to, and you're playing. I think you're playing a little more as well, right? Yeah. You're playing a little more regular.
Yeah, we play a little more regularly, and we end up going to the NLCS. Losing to the Giants.
Okay, who they end up going on to win the World Series
champion. Yeah. Yep. So played in the postseason 3 times with those teams. I think our 2010 and 2011 teams were, some really good teams. You're talking, like you said, Roy Halladay, Utley, Howard, Cliff Lee.
You probably figured you'd be back, and it just didn't happen.
It just didn't happen. Baseball, it's tough to win a World Series. It's tough to get there through a 162-game season. You got to be healthy. Guys got to produce, and then to get through a postseason where you got to win another 10 games is even harder. So, those are good teams as well. But like I said, some of the best memories I have in baseball are with those.
Now, guys. Walk us through though probably your biggest hit in your career. I'd argue, right? 2011.
Yeah.
NLDS, Cardinals.
Yeah. So I'm on deck. I think I'm pinch hitting for somebody. I don't know. I don't think I was pinch hitting for the pitcher. I was on deck, so I'm pinch hitting for
Oh, so you were just pinch hitting too. Wow.
Yeah, I think Holt might have said, I don't know, I forget, but maybe it was for the pitcher.
Okay.
So
Shane hits a double.
0-0 game. Jaime Garcia's on the mound, who's had a great year. And story is we had just played him in our last series of the year in Philly. And we just faced him, and I ended up facing him. And, I hit a fly ball to the warning track on a pit sinker, like middle way that I thought I should have homered, right? Just missed it. And I'm like, oh, man, I wasn't playing it much. You remember those at-bats because you want them back. And, man, I should have had a homer, blah, blah. And, not getting as many at-bats as I wanted. Those really stick out to you. So season ends, and I was just, remember that at-bat. Like, man, I should have had Omar Garcia. Long story short, he's starting that game. I think he's in the 7th inning. That night just dominating.
Yeah.
0 runs. And I'm pitch hitting. And I'm like, all right, I know this guy back of my hand. I know he's going to throw. Probably going to try and get me on the sinker. You know what? You've seen him just a week ago. You know what's going to happen. So, he throws me the pitch I'm looking for, and I end up putting a really good swing on it. And in the line drive, I think it's a double. Ends up going out over the fence. Adrenaline kicks in, and once again, I'm sprinting around the bases and come in the dugout, and the dugout's probably louder than the stands.
Yeah.
Those guys, like I said, we were so close, and those guys all pull for me every time I was playing, as a bench player. They know kind of, I guess, quote unquote, what I meant to the team, what I meant to those guys, helping them get ready for the games. So they were as loud as could be. I remember Ryan just standing on the top step, being the first one to congratulate me. Shane's, beating me up as I touch home. We touch home, high five, and come in the dugout and just get mobbed again. And, we end up winning that game 2-0 after that homer. And we end up winning that, losing that series 1-0 in a game 5. But winning that game was probably, like you said, the best hit of my career. I think I'll put it above the walk-off homer in my start because what it means to be in the postseason. And there you have it again, It lasts forever. You had a lot of eyes on me in Cleveland watching that game in SportsCenter. In that postseason game, everybody
around the world.
I hear from everybody, and probably people still come to me and talk about that home run. Philly fans and Cardinal fans, to say the least.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. So after that season, did you get traded again after the 2011 season? Is that what happened? So you got traded to the Blue Jays?
Yeah. So then get traded to the Blue Jays. And go to leave Philly. I think and it run its course there.
Were you expecting to get traded, or you've been a pretty big part of the team for 3 years?
I don't think I was expecting it.
Yeah.
It's always a possibility in baseball.
Yeah,
you never know. So I wasn't expecting it, but it happened, and I go to Toronto with John Farrell and Torey Lovullo, 2 Cleveland guys who had me in Cleveland as a young player. John Farrell was the farm director when I was in Cleveland, so knew me very well. Guess he wanted me to get me in Toronto. Corey obviously managed me. He was the bench coach at the time. So go over there, go to some familiar faces. And, Toronto was always my favorite city to play in the road. So
was it?
I'm excited to go there and play full-time in Toronto. So it was a good experience. And my college roommate, the guy who tore his ACL, he's a Blue Jay.
Oh, really?
So we ended up playing together in Toronto. So
that's cool.
Funny story, yeah. So I had some familiar faces over there, so I was excited.
And how was that experience in New York? We had Kirby on. Kirby Yates, my first guest, and he played for the Yankees, and he said it's maybe the most nervous he's ever been going into that locker room.
Oh, yeah.
And Jeter was gone when Kirby went into it. You had Jeter, A-Rod, Robinson Cano, Mariano Rivera. They all were there.
All there. Pettit was still there. It was crazy. I mean, I obviously come from Philly. I play with a lot of good players.
Sure.
These guys are a little older.
Yeah.
For sure, Hall of Famers, right?
Yes.
And Yankee Stadium. So definitely nerve-wracking. And they were all great, though. Jeet was great. CeCe was there, who I knew from Cleveland, so it helped having him there. Travis Hafner was there at the time, too. So I had some guys I knew.
So you had some guys from Cleveland.
Had some guys I knew, but it was definitely nerve-wracking. And, being in the big city. Philly's a big city, but New York is a whole other level. Yeah.
Is it a little different atmosphere, too, in the locker room? I know you said that the Philadelphia guys were super tight-knit.
Yeah.
You hear the rumors where that locker room, obviously you have a bunch of big stars like that, not quite the same brotherhood.
Different
is
vibe.
That fair?
Definitely different vibe, different atmosphere. A lot more quiet. people stayed to themselves a little more in New York and Philly. It was always something going on, and you go on the road in New York and guys doing their own thing.
Yeah.
There was mainly a couple guys going to dinner as opposed to what I'm used to in Philly. The whole team's hanging out. But
yeah,
they had their own way, and that was successful with them.
Hey, listen, it worked. They won a bunch of World Series, so who's going to argue with it?
Yeah.
And that was pretty much so you were with New York for a couple months, and then they released you. And
then I got released, played AAA with the Padres. Then I never made it back to the show. That was the end of it. So had a good run.
Well, listen, for playing for 7 years, which is still incredible, you got to play for, a couple of incredible franchises, right? You got to make some incredible play. Some guys play 20 years and don't get the playoff runs that you got to experience.
Yeah, postseason 4 times. Played with multiple Hall of Famers, some of the best players that'll ever play this game. Played for some great managers and got to see a lot of different teams in a lot of different cities. And couldn't ask for anything better.
That's awesome. All right, well, we're on to my last segment. I call it the shoot the shit segment.
Yeah.
Okay. Just kind of random questions, nothing crazy. You kind of answered this, but still, like teammate that had the biggest impact maybe on your career. Would you say it was Kenny Lofton when he took you in, or is there somebody else that maybe had the biggest impact as a young guy in the big leagues?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably Sabathia.
Okay.
But we're not the same position, so it's hard to say him because we did different things. But as far as how to be a big leaguer and how to treat people with respect and be a good teammate, definitely CC. He was, before I got to the big leagues, when I was in spring training and just got put on the 40-man in Cleveland, he kind of took me under his wing always. Whatever I needed, he took care of me. If I needed some place to stay when I got called up, stay with CC. Needed a place to stay in spring training, he took care of it.
Okay.
Whatever I needed. Him.
That's cool.
Kenny was obviously a big influence once I got to the big leagues
Right.
because we played outfield and we did everything together. So.
Right. And you had to clean his shoes and fold his clothes.
Yep. Got him everything.
So who was your the probably answer then? Your favorite teammate was probably CC, you would say?
Yeah. CC is probably my favorite teammate. It's hard to say. I had a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
I played with, like I said, some great players, but they're all
Awesome
same teammates. Between Ryan and Jimmy, Raul Ibanez, so they're all take your pick.
Okay. Death row, your last meal. What would it be?
I'm gonna say maybe a bowl of Lucky Charms. Bowl of Lucky Charms, or maybe an In-N-Out burger. Probably those two.
Okay. Well,
I love cereal, so I would go Lucky Charms or like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, something like that.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, I love Lucky Charms too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd have that as my last meal, but hey.
That's probably why I was so small as a kid. All you want to eat was cereal. And to this day, always got to have a good box of cereal.
Oh, that's great. What's your favorite baseball movie?
Favorite baseball movie? I would say probably The Sandlot.
Sandlot.
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved one of my favorites as a kid. Okay. It's a good movie. Good movie. Least favorite teammate. Like, did you have anybody that, he was a problem in the locker room, maybe didn't see eye to eye a lot of times?
I got along with mostly everybody. There's some guys that did things differently, that they roast me the wrong way, but nobody that I really, just couldn't stand. In baseball, it's hard to, survive that long being a douchebag or an asshole. Because you get weeded out. Going through the minor leagues, and that'll humble you really quick, and baseball's a humbling game. So you got to be able to interact with your teammates because you spend so much time with them, 162 games. It's hard to come in the clubhouse every day and be an asshole. Most guys won't survive unless you're a superstar.
Well, someday somebody's going to answer that question. I keep asking it. Someday somebody's going to have the balls to actually tell the truth here. I see you thinking you wanted. There was a name on your tongue there, and you held back, but that's okay. Pitcher you least wanted to see, or you hated to see it, however you want to word it.
Mariano Rivera.
Okay.
He was as good as better than advertised. I see him on TV as a kid, and I got to face him. I was like, whoa.
And all he threw was one pitch.
It's different. There's one pitch is unlike any other pitch you'll ever see.
It's just incredible.
It's a cutter, but it's not like anybody else's cutter. It was late, hard, and perfect spot every time.
I thought you were going to say maybe Mark Burley or Justin Verlander. Just because I looked at your success there, and there wasn't any.
Burley was the guy I was supposed to hit, right? They always put me in against Burley because he was a left-handed pitcher. and I could never hit Mark Burley. Part of the fact was he got this much off the plate.
Oh, yeah.
As a right-handed hitter, I'm like, man, he had a good cutter, so he get that much off the plate outside. Big strike zone. And he threw that cutter inside. I could not hit him.
I will say, so I mean, you weren't great versus Verlander or...
Verlander, I'm not supposed to be great against.
No, nobody is. Well, Mark Burley's a great pitcher too.
But right? I was supposed to hit him. He's a lefty, not a hard thrower. But
who was your favorite pitcher to face? And you have to say this guy because of the stats.
Yeah, he had a lot of reason why I was in the big leagues for 7 years. Andy Sonnenstein.
Unbelievable.
Right?
That's the one. I was looking this up. And you might be the reason he's not in the
vice versa,
he might not be the reason his career got. So you faced him 10 times. You were 8 for 9 with the walk with 5 home runs.
Yeah, unbelievable.
8 hits out of 9 at bats, 5 home runs, and like 13 or 14 RBIs. My God.
Can't explain
I had to look that twice.
Can't explain it, right? I can't explain it. So it happened the first time. I had 2 homers off him, 3 hits, and then happened again. Then we saw him again. The next year or something, everybody's like, Betty, blah, blah. Sonnenstein's pitching, make sure Betty's in the lineup, blah, blah. And I'm in the lineup first about a homer, next about a homer. And the guys in the dugout were just like, are you kidding me?
It's unbelievable. Was there something about it? You just picked up his pitch well?
Apparently, yeah.
No,
I didn't know it was coming. Like, people were like, did you know it was coming? Was he tipping? I'm like, no, I just kind of, his pitching was made for my hitting.
That was amazing. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Sports science can do a thing on my swing and his arm action or something. That's the reason why.
That was amazing, man. Anyway, I wanted to just give you your flowers on that. And again, I feel bad, Andy. You're probably a decent pitcher.
Gotta get Andy on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Have both of you on at the same time. He's probably scared. Second to last one. Favorite sporting event, or like if you could choose one sporting event to go to, which one would it be?
That I've been to or that I haven't?
No, well, you could, whatever it is, you might have been to or you want to go to, or.
I would say, I'm not going to say the World Series, I've been there. I would say I'd like to go to like the Champions League final, soccer, Europe. That would be probably pretty cool.
Who's your team, briefly?
Barcelona.
Okay.
Barcelona. And second of all, you got the Olympics going on right now. That'd be a bucket list. And I would say Kentucky Derby, though.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Yeah, that's Kentucky Derby.
So I got to hit up Jason Worth, who's got a horse now in the Derby.
Incredible. Well, his horse won the Belmont, and just won the Haskell Stakes.
Exactly. So
crushing it, dude.
I told him next year I'm coming. He's like, come on.
We're talking about going next year, too. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see you there. And finally, the last question. Your funniest bathroom emergency story. Yeah. Could be yours. Could be a teammate that had something really funny happen to him as well.
I mean, it's happened to me in a game where you.
Oh yeah, that's what we want to hear. That's why we asked the question.
In a game, running off the field. Luckily, I wasn't coming to the bat, but I was in the toilet and didn't make it in time. Quick getting 3 outs. And they're looking for me in left field, and I'm not out there because I'm in the toilet. So they're coming in the bathroom. Betty, we're on the field. So, I had to run out. Probably the fans didn't know what was going on, but the teammates did. So that's probably what I can remember for sure, other than being stuck on a long drive and trying to find a bathroom.
Yeah, trust me, we've all been there every time. That's hilarious.
Yeah, just in a big league stadium, not making out the defense on time because I was using the restroom.
You were occupied. Awesome. Well, that's how I end every show. This has been great, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This is awesome. Good start here on the Mediocrity Podcast. Thanks for having me. And on the bigger, better things, thanks for having me.
That's awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.